I'm Andreas, your tech-curious web designer. In this video, we will create a Django startup project, basically a boilerplate code we can use as a foundation for our future projects. Let me demonstrate it to you quickly. So this is our empty homepage where we can display a new project. Then here we have the login page and the sign up page. Let's create a new user. Here we have an onboarding page where we can complete our profile. Let's upload an avatar image, add a name, and maybe some information. Then submit. This is our profile page. Then here we have a drop-down menu. To my profile, which is this page. Then we have an edit profile page. This is basically the onboarding page modified with a different title and a different button. Then we also have a settings page. Here we can change the email address. We are loading the form with Htmx. So let's change the email address to +1 and submit. A confirmation email was sent, but we can also click the verify link here to send the confirmation email manually. And that will basically send the same email again. Let's verify this account now. So I click confirm. And the email is confirmed. So if I refresh the page here, we can see the email is now verified. And we can also delete the account. Alright, this is what we're going to build. This tutorial is a bit advanced, building on the knowledge we've gathered from previous tutorial series. I will not explain every little detail and will go through the steps quite rapidly. So if you feel stuck or want to learn more about a specific concept, you can always refer back to my tutorials for a more in-depth explanation. Let me outline to you now the steps we cover in this video. We start by setting up Django, then we create a static homepage, then we create dynamic profile pages, then we set up Allauth for user authentication, then we create a settings page to change the email address using Htmx, and as last we also add a 404 page. Alright, now before we jump into the code, a quick shout out to my new supporters on Patreon. A high five to Kutsanai, Steven and Django SEO. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. And now let's get started. Alright, here we are in Visual Studio Code and I'm inside an empty folder with the name Django Starter. So first let's create a virtual environment. I'm calling my virtual environment VNV. Then we activate the virtual environment. I'm on a Mac here. On Windows you would use a different path. Next I create a requirements.txt file to install all the packages we need in this project. I'm using here the touch command to create an empty file. Touch only works on Mac or Linux. On Windows you would use something different. But you could also install the WSL extension to get the same command on your Windows machine, or just create the file manually. That always works. Here we have now our requirements.txt file. I'm adding now all the packages we need for this project. First we have Django. Below we need to upload images. Django Cleanup deletes duplicated images. Django Allauth we use for the login and sign up of users. And we also add the Django Htmx package for Htmx support. Okay, I save the file and install them. Then I also upgrade pip. Alright, the packages are installed. We can close this file and start our Django project. With the start project command, I'm creating the core folder. Then we do a migration to set up the database and start up the server with Python manage.py run server. Alright, let's check if Django is up and running. I go to localhost :8000 and we install Django successfully. Awesome. Okay, now let's create a homepage. For this we create a new app and I call it a_home. Then we need to add it to our installed apps in the settings.py file, located in the core folder. Then we create a view. This is a very basic view to render the home.html file. Then we add the path to this page, so we go to the urls.py file. Here we have to import the home view. Next, I'm adding the HTML file for my homepage, which is stored in the templates folder. Let's create this folder now. I'm using here the make directory command, which should also work on Windows. Then we have to register this directory in the settings.py file. And add the path here to the template section. Okay, and now I'm setting up my template structure. So we have a base.html file with the components for every page. Then we have a layout template which renders different layouts for different pages. And then we have the page itself, which contains all the data. So first I create the base.html file. And the code for this base.html file we can grab from my GitHub repository. github.com/ndjut/django-starter-assets. This repository has a bunch of HTML files we need and also the static folder with some images. We can download all these files by clicking on the code button here. And download zip. Let's grab here the code for the base.html file. Click on the copy button and paste it in here. This is a big file, so let's slice it into smaller components. First, I will move the messages element here into a different file. I cut it out. Then go to the templates folder, create a new folder in here with the name includes. And I create a file here, messages.html. And paste it in here. Okay, we can close this file. And I include it back in here. The same for the header. I cut it from here. Create a header.html file. Paste the element in here. And include it back in here. Next, we have the content element, which displays the actual content of the page. Here I'm creating now my layout block. To store the different layouts, I will create now a layouts folder inside the templates folder. And first I create the blank layout. Then I add my page components. This layout extends from the base.html file. Here we have the layout block. And then we have the content element, which contains the content block. And finally, we create now the home.html file we need for our view, which extends from this layout template. So in the templates, home.html. And here we display the content of the page. Alright, let's start up the server and check it out. Refresh the page. And we see our homepage. Great.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Now let's fix the logo here. For this we create first the static folder. Ctrl C to shut down the server. Then make directory static. Then we add this directory to our settings file. With the static files there's variable. And now let's copy all the files we downloaded from the repository to this static folder. Alright, now that all the files moved to this project, we should see the logo now. Let's start up the server and check it out. Refresh the page. And our logo is now loaded. Awesome. So this is all for the homepage. Now let's move on to create user profile pages. We can close those tabs here. Alright. I create a new app for the users and call it a_users. Let's minify a few folders here. Now let's add users to the installed apps. Next, we create the user model, which can store the user profile data in the database. So we go to models.py. For this we need the user class and the static function, which we will need to display a default avatar image. So this is my model class. We have the user, which is a one-to-one field with our Django user. Then we have the image property with the image field to upload our avatar images and store it in the avatars folder. The image field works with Pillow, which we installed already. Then we have a field to display the user's name and an info field. Then we add the string representation of this object for the admin interface. Then I'm adding this name function to display the username if the user don't provide a display name. And also an avatar function, which displays a default avatar if the user doesn't provide one. Alright, let's make the migrations now. And migrate. Okay. Now let's add this model class to the admin.py file, so it shows up in the admin interface. Import the profile class and register it. Okay. Now to create a profile object every time a new user is created, we use signals. For this we have to create a signals.py file. Here we have to import a few modules. We need the receiver, we need the post-save method, we need the user object, and we need the profile model class. And this is the code for my signal. So it's triggered after a user is saved in a database, and if a new user is created, it creates a profile object for this user. Okay? In order for the signal to work, we also have to register it in the apps.py file and import it inside the ready function. Let's check this out now by creating a superuser. So Python manage.py create superuser. I give it a username, email address, password, then start up the server. Refresh. Then we go to the admin interface, /admin, sign in. And if we go to profiles here, we can see that our admin profile was created. The signal is working. Great. Let's also add now the variables for the avatar image and username. For this we go to the header.html file. In the templates and includes folder. Here we have the avatar. Here we add the avatar variable. And here the name variable. Okay. Refresh the page. And there we go. We see the default avatar and username. Great. Now let's create a profile page. I'm going to the views.py file. This is my profile view function, which sends the profile object to the template. Here we need to create this profile.html file. Let's first create a folder for it. Here again, I use the make directory command to create a template folder and a a_users folder within the users app folder. The -p stands for parents and means it creates also all the missing parent folders. But unfortunately, this option does not work on Windows. Alright, as we can see here, it creates this template folder and the a_users folder. Here I'm adding now my profile.html file. Add here the code from the repository. Then we create the path. We add here the include function to link to the URLs file in the users app folder. Let's import include. Then in our users folder, we create now here our urls.py file. Then we import the path and we import all the views and add the path in here. Okay, save this file. Then I go to my header.html file and add the URL in here. Okay, now let's start up the server and check it out. Refresh the page, then go to my profile. Okay, the profile page is added. Next, we create the edit profile page. For this, we need a form. So let's create a forms.py file. And we import here the model form class, the forms class, and the profile class. So here's my form. It is accessing the profile table. We don't want to change the user field, so we exclude that one. And the widgets are creating the look and feel of the form. Okay, let's create a view now. Back to views.py. This is the profile edit view function. Let's import the form. Then I also import the login required decorator and add it to the function. And now let's create the profile edit.html file. Paste the code from the assets. Okay. Now let's create the path. And also update the header. Okay, let's check it out. Refresh. Alright, let's fix the layout for this page now. I create a new layout. So I go to layouts. I call this layout box.html. We add the code again from the repository. This displays the content within a box. And here we change extends from the box.html file. And let's check it out. I refresh the page. Okay, looking better. Now let's add the functionality to save this form in the database. So back to views.py. We get here all the data from the front end. We check if the form is valid, then save the form in the database, and then redirect the user to the profile page. Let's import the redirect function. Now we add the media folder to store the user uploaded files. So in the root here, I add media. Then I add this folder to our settings.py file. the media root, and I also add the media URL. Okay. And now in order for Django to serve those media files, we need to add a path to our urls.py file. Here we map the media URL to the media root. So let's import static and settings. And save this file. Okay, let's check it out. Refresh the page. Choose a file. We add a display name. Bobby. Add some text. And submit. And we successfully edited our profile page. Awesome.
Nice.
Now I will also add Django Cleanup to delete duplicated images. We installed this package already. Let's add this line now to our installed apps. In the settings.py file. And let's check it out. So here we have the media folder with one image. And if I upload a new image, this one should get replaced. I upload the image again. And we can see a new image file was created. Alright, next let's look into the user logout. And for this we're using the Allauth package. So here we have the official documentation. Let's implement the configurations in our settings file. First we add the authentication backends. Then we have to add Allauth to our apps. Those 3 lines. And also to our middleware. Then we also add it to our path. So in the core folder, URLs. I add it here on top. And then we have to do a migration. I add the logout URL to the header.html file. There we have logout. And start up the server to check it out. Refresh the page. Then I'm going to logout. As we can see, Allauth is working. Let's fix the design now by linking it up with our template. For this I'm overwriting the base.html file Allauth provides with my own base.html file. I create here a Allauth and a layouts folder in my templates folder. And here I'm adding my base.html file. Here I'm extending from the box layout, add our Allauth class to the body element of the page, and add the content block. Okay, save this file, start up the server again, and refresh the page. And our template is loaded. Great. Okay, let's sign out. And we also get a success message here. Now let's add the login link here. I go to my header.html file. Here we have the login. Now I'm adding a few configurations to my settings.py file. So at the very bottom here, I add a login redirect URL. So by default, Allauth will redirect the user to a profile page. Then I'm adding here an email backend. This will send me confirmation emails to the console. And then I also set the authentication method to email. By default, this is set to username. Let's save this file and test the login. Refresh and go to login. Here I add my email address and password. And I'm successfully signed in. Now I don't really like those messages when I log in and log out, so let's get rid of them. Those messages are coming from Allauth and they're stored in a login and logout text file. And I'm creating empty files now to overwrite them. So I create here an account folder and a messages folder in my templates. Then I create here the logged_in.txt file and keep it blank. And also logged_out.txt file and keep it blank. Okay. Start up the server. I refresh the page and log out again. And the message is gone. Great. Okay, let's move over to the sign up feature now. So I'm going to my header.html file. Here I'm adding the Allauth sign up URL. But I'm also adding here the next parameter to redirect the user to our onboarding page after signing up. Okay, let's create the URL for the onboarding page now. We're using here again the profile edit view, but I will add now an onboarding variable to it. So here we have the profile edit view. So if the request.path is the profile onboarding URL, then the onboarding variable is true, otherwise it's false. Then I send this variable to the template. Okay. Let's import also reverse. Then I go to the profile edit template. I'm using the variable here to add a condition. So if this onboarding variable is set to true, I want to say complete your profile. Otherwise we are on the edit profile page and we say edit your profile. And then I also want to switch between a cancel and a skip button. Okay, like that. Another thing I want is to have only lowercase usernames in the database. For this I'm creating a pre-save signal. So let's go to our signals.py file and add here a pre-save signal, and it converts the username into lowercase. Okay, let's import the pre-save. And let's do a test to sign up using a username with capital letters. I refresh the page, then sign up. Andreas with a capital A. Great, the username is lowercase, we are on the onboarding page, and also a confirmation email was sent. Let's upload our avatar image and add a display name. Okay, and submit. Great, this is our profile page. Now let's add also profile pages of other users. So if I type here add username, I want to display here the user page. So first let's create a path. So let's go to our core folder and then urls.py. And I'm constructing here the URL with the @ symbol in front of the username and using the profile view. Let's import it. Okay. Now I'm going to the views.py file and customize my profile view. So first here I add the username as an argument. Then I'm adding here a condition. If there is a username, fetch me the user with that username if it exists. Otherwise, show a 404 page. Let's import the getObject_404 function and also the user model. Alright, then we have else. Here we try to get the profile page. I use a try except block here, because if the profile page is requested when logged out, we get a server error. In that case, I want the user to be redirected to the login page. Except redirect to the login page. Alright, save this file and refresh the page. And as you can see, we see here now the user page. And if I go to my profile, I see the profile page. And if we're logged out and go to the profile page, we get redirected to the sign-in page. Awesome. Now let's look at the settings page. I first create a view. This view renders the profile settings.html file. Let's create this file now. So in users, templates, profile_settings.html. Paste the code in here. Then we create a path. So urls.py. And add the URL in our header.html file. Okay, let's check it out. I refresh the page. Settings. And here we have the page. And we can see it shows already our email address. Let's add the edit link. And here I'm using Htmx now to load in a form to change the email address. So this is the Htmx package documentation, which we installed already in our project. Let's add now the missing configurations. So back to the settings.py file. Then we have to add it to installed apps. And also add it to the middleware. Alright. Now let's create a form which shows the email. So let's go to our forms.py file in the users folder. So first I declare here that this email field is required. And with the meta class we access the user model. Let's import the user class. Save this file. And then we create a view. So in this function, I check if it is indeed a Htmx request and send the response as a partial or snippet to the front end. So let's create this email form.html partial. I go to my main templates folder, create a new folder, partials. And in here, I create this email_form.html file. Paste the code in here, save this file, also save the views.py file. Now I'm creating the path, so I go to the urls.py file and add now the Htmx syntax to the page. So I'm going to my profile_settings.html file. Here I'm going to the edit link. Here we have it. And here instead of our href, we add here now the Htmx attributes. So the target is the email address element here, and we swap it with inner HTML. I also add here the class cursor pointer to display this element as a link. Okay, save this file and let's do a test. I refresh the page. I click edit. And our partial with the form is loaded to the page. Awesome. Now let's save the data to the database. Back to my views.py file. I add the post method condition. So if the method is post, we grab the form data in a form variable and then check if it's valid. But before we save it in the database, we have to check if this email exists already. So here we get the email value from the form. Then we check the user table if this email already exists, excluding the current user. And if it exists, we send back a warning that this email is already in use and redirect the user back to the settings page. Let's import the messages now. And once this check is done, we save the form. But we're not quite done yet. The email has also to be updated in the Allauth email address table. And for this I create a signal again, which updates the email address and sets the verified property to false. Let's take a look at the admin interface. Here we have the email address table Allauth created, and it stores here the information if the email is verified or not. Okay, let's go to our singles.py file. We are going to include it here in the post save function. So we say here else. So if the user is updated, we update the email in the Allauth table and set verified to false. I also put it in a try except block to avoid server errors. Let's import the email address class. Then I add here the except block. So if we get a server error, it means the object doesn't exist, and so we create one. Okay, save this file. Let's go back to our views.py file. So once the signal is triggered and the email is updated, we're going to send a confirmation email to the user. We can do this with this send email confirmation function. This is a function Allauth provides. Let's import it. And then we redirect the user to the settings page. And then I finally also add a else here in case the form is not valid. I display here a warning message saying the form is not valid and redirect the user to the settings page. Alright, save this file and let's check it out. So I refresh the page, click edit, then I change here to 2, submit. Great, the email is updated and we also got a confirmation email sent. Let's double check this in the database. I refresh the page. It changed now to 2, that worked. Now let's check the terminal for the confirmation email. There it is. With pressing the command button, I can click on this link here. Then I confirm. And the email is verified. Let's check out the settings page. And we see the email is verified. Now let's verify the email manually. So I edit the email again. Now let's make the verify link work. So back to views.py. And I add here a new function, which basically just sends this confirmation email to the user. Okay, let's add the path. And add the URL to our settings page. Here we have the verify link. And I add the URL. Okay, let's check it out. I refresh the page. If I click the verify link, the confirmation email is sent. Confirm. Back to the settings page. And the email is verified. Awesome. We are almost done. Next we have the account delete link. For this I create a new view. Profile delete view. Let's add a template. Paste the code. Okay. Then I add the path. And add it to the settings page. So here we have the delete link. And I add the URL. Okay, let's test. Refresh. Delete. Here we have the page. Let's add the logic now. So back to views.py file. So first we create here a user variable, then we check if the method is a post method. Then first we log out the user. Let's import this logout function. Then we delete the user. Then we show a success message that the account was deleted. And we redirect the user back to the home page. Alright, let's check it out. I refresh the page and delete the account. And the account was deleted. What a pity. As the very last thing, I will also add a 404 page to my project. So I go to my main templates folder and add here a 404.html file. Paste again the code, save the file. Okay, that's set up. But in order for us to see this 404 page now, we need to get out of the debug mode. So let's go to settings.py. And at the top here, we set debug to false. And for this to work, we have to set allowed hosts. So I'm setting here my 2 local hosts and also a wildcard, which in production we have to replace with our public domain. Alright, save this file. Now let's try to access a user which doesn't exist. For example, at Dave. And we see we have a 404 page here now. So let's switch back the debug to true. And we're back in the debug mode. Okay. That's it. We built now a Django Startup boilerplate with user authentication. For the full code base, go to my GitHub repository at github.com/ndjut/django-starter. And just a reminder, should you use this code in production, make sure to generate your own secret key for your own security. Alright, if you have any suggestions how to improve this starter code, please let me know in the comment section below. I will try to keep this project as relevant as possible and always up to date. Thank you for watching. Until next time, my friends, stay curious and bye bye for now.